wasn't defined in terms of grades. I was thinking on a more personal level, so growth in the ability to advocate for oneself, to have the confidence to speak up in class and raise your hand, get your thoughts and ideas out there. So that's a really hard skill to learn. In high school, I never did that. I was the quiet kid, and it took me till college really to get my voice out there, and I'm still working on it. And collaboration, I just wanted the students to work together on something. So my personal philosophy is that once students experience this personal growth, their grades are going to reflect that. I was inspired by my lovely first hour U.S. history class. Whenever I posed a question to them, it was met with blank stares. And so I would just stare back, and it was horribly uncomfortable for everybody involved. So what I was thinking was most problematic with that was life after my class. Are you going to be able to speak up for yourself, to get your ideas out there? Because I'm not going to be there to make you later. And I focused mostly on my first hour U.S. history class, but I brought the approach to my English 12 classes. My solution for this was to define more collaborative lessons that required student interaction, so I made them talk to each other, and they hated me at first. They fought it with everything. They did not want to speak to each other. But they got better and better, so it's okay. What I did was think, pair, shares. I had them write for like 5 minutes about a question, then talk to each other before we came back together and started discussing as a whole group. So that way they had the validation of their friends before they had to tell a whole class of sometimes people they don't know about what they were doing. So once they got better and better at this, I designed lessons that were more group-oriented. This is my personal favorite lesson. It was a Jim Crow primary source jigsaw. I divided the students into 6 groups. They didn't get to choose their groups at all. I wanted them to just get to know everybody in the class. Each group got a primary source document from the Jim Crow era, so the time that racial segregation was legal in the United States. Each group got this primary source document. It could have been in the form of a photo, a postcard, a Valentine's Day card, whatever. And they had to analyze it, so say what it meant. And they had 5 minutes to discuss with their group. Then each group had to meet with all other groups. So group 1 had to meet with 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 until everyone met together. And once they all had, we came back as a whole and discussed as a class. And they got really good feedback. It's first hour, so they're tired, I'm tired, so I wanted everyone to get up and move around. And that made it more fun for them, I think. Another example was a vocab breakdown. I've done this twice for review before tests. With a partner, their prompt was to choose a topic from the unit that was sort of important. Maybe it should be on the study guide or something. And they had to create a poster with 4 criteria. The first was to just define it. Tell me what it is. This group did Americanization. And the second part was to ask a question. What does the class need to know more about? What do you want to know more about? And then try and answer it. The third was to draw a picture, and clearly these people are really good artists. That's why I chose it. The fourth was to explain the significance. Why is it important? Why do I need to know this? In English 12, we did The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer, and it's a really hard text to understand for adults, let alone high school seniors. And there's 29 different characters that they needed to know for their test. It's a lot. So we decided to divide and conquer. Each group chose a character from the Canterbury Tales and made a poster of his or her Facebook page or yearbook page, sort of to just create this modern archetype and to make it more appealing to their generation. What we did next, we chose a specific character from the Canterbury Tales and we read the tale. So we read the Partner's Tale. And again, it's a really difficult text to read, so we decided to act it out instead. And the students got super into it. We had people like doing voices. One kid used a meter stick as a cane because he was playing an old man. And they loved it. They told me that it helped them understand it better. They were able to retain the information. evidence of progress, what I have, I did a journal reflection after it says every but most lessons, just to sort of gauge student interest, see which ones got the most participation. So that way I could create lessons that they'll like in the future. I did a student survey. There were 4 questions, but I'm only going to talk about 2 of them because those are the 2 that best encompass like this whole topic that I'm talking about. The first was do you benefit more from notes or from group work, and why? So some people said both. This student said they like group work because you learn by doing, but it's also important to have notes so that they can study from. And that was a pretty big argument, as we see down here, for the notes. They just want it for the test. And then this person said group work, I feel more involved in what I'm learning. And as I was flipping through, that one really stuck out because that's the language that I use. I want my students to be involved and to feel like they're doing something that matters to them. The next was, are there any activities that you would like to do more and why? And actually they chose the more collaborative lessons for this one, so win. They said posters because it helped me understand the info better. So that was the vocab breakdown. Diving into something with a partner into more detail than they would normally go into. One kid just wrote Jeopardy. We do a Jeopardy review before every test in US history. We make teams, they get really into it, there's a lot of snack talk, so it's really fun for me to watch. The picture assignment, because it helped give weight to the unit. And again, the language that this kid used, I love. That's exactly what I think every teacher wants their lessons to be. They want it to be important to the student. And then I like group projects so I can put what I learned into something fun. And it's just an easier way to learn. You get to talk to people, you get to make something fun, make something creative. So moving forward, I think the students became better advocates for themselves. They talk to each other, they raise their hands, they get their ideas out there, finally. And they come up to me, they say, Mr. Bear, I don't get it, can you help me? And that's, I think, sometimes really hard for students to admit, like, that you don't get it and that you need help. And I think that's a pretty valuable skill to learn. And as I said before, the grades reflect their confidence. And Unit 1 test was at a 75.2% an average, and then Unit 2 jumped up to 85%. So I was pumped about that. I think it's because of the lessons that I designed and their ability to interact with each other. It could have been because they might have, warmed up to me a little bit or to each other, but I like to think it's what I did. So I just have a few thank yous before I go to the questions. To Marshall High School and all the staff for making that building seem like home to me. Dr. Sue Ellen Henke and that whole education department for keeping me calm, because I get super stressed out about this stuff. But then the student teachers, you guys provided me with so much support and showed me that everyone goes crazy, not just me. The Marshall High School students, I adore being their teacher. And I only have 2 more days in the class and I'm gonna miss it so much because of them. And then a big thank you to my mentor teachers, Julie Smith and Christine Davis. They provided me with a lot of support and feedback, and it's, I'm gonna cry if I talk about them too much, so I'm gonna end it there. But, any questions? It's a selfie with my students today. Wes?
So are the tests that you cite prescribed or ones that you create?
I didn't get to create them. I had the test with me from the beginning of the unit, so I pretty much designed the lessons for that. I didn't really have much say in their final assessments. Kara.
Did you have a teacher in high school that helped teach you how to self-advocate?
I think I did. I don't know if you know Miss Churchill. She went to my high school, so that's why I'm asking. But she was at Canton High School and was one of my English teachers and gave me like the hardest assignments ever. But she really helped me like be able to speak in front of people and be able to actually get my ideas out there. So that was one of them. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate having some people in the audience.